Even when individuals have done nothing wrong and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage their reputations and finances. The President of the United States on the 20th of January, 2025, his last full day in office. He is explaining why he is about to pardon 5 members of his own family. The day before, on the 19th, he had signed 4 separate grants of clemency. The first went to General Mark A. Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The second to Dr. Anthony S. Fauci, who ran the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The third to a congressional committee, its staff, and the police officers who testified before it. The fourth to 5 members of the president's own family. Every one of them is public record. You can read all 4 in an afternoon, and what they say is stranger than any argument about them. 7 weeks earlier, the same president had pardoned his son. That document tells you what it is for, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted by Special Counsel David C. Weiss in docket number 1:23-CR-00061-MN in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware. A prosecutor, a docket number, a court. The pardon names the case, it is pardoning. Now look at the 4 from January. No prosecutor, no docket number, no court. Not one of the 4 names a case, because there was no case to name. Read the 4 together and a line appears. 3 of them are tied to a job. Arising from or in any manner related to his service as Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army or Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That is Milley's. The pardon covers his command and nothing else. Arising from or in any manner related to his service as Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. That is Fauci's. His directorship and nothing else. Arising from or in any manner related to the activities or subject matter of the Select Committee. The committees, its own proceedings, and nothing else. 3 pardons, 3 public roles, 3 fences. Then the 4th. A full and unconditional pardon for any non-violent offenses against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon. Read it again and look for the fence. There is a date range. There is the word non-violent. There is no job, no role, no subject, nothing the pardon has to arise from. Every pardon that went to an official is bounded by that official's public role. The one with no boundary went to the president's family, and he named them himself. That is why I am exercising my power under the Constitution to pardon James B. Biden, Sara Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, and Francis W. Biden. His brother, his brother's wife, his sister's husband, and his other brother. We are naming them because the president's own pardon names them, and because you cannot follow the rest of this without knowing who the 4th document covers. There's one more thing the documents share, and it is the strangest of all. 3 of the 4 January pardons open on the same day, the 1st of January, 2014. During the period from January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon. And so does the one from December. 4 documents signed 7 weeks apart, covering 4 unrelated lives, and they all begin on the same date. That date belongs to none of them. Milley took command of the Army years earlier. Fauci had directed NIAID since 1984. The window opens 30 years into the job. No document gives a reason for it. We looked. There is a boring explanation, around 10-year look back, and it may well be the right one. That is where we stop, because that is where the paperwork stops. It has not always been done this way, and the comparison is 50 years old. When Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon in 1974, he used a window too. His ran from the 20th of January, 1969 to the 9th of August, 1974. The day Nixon took office and the day he left. That window was cut exactly to one man's time in power. The windows in January 2025 were cut to a calendar. And here's the part you would not believe if it were not in one document. The statement announcing the family pardons does not begin with the family. It begins with two other men. I am issuing pardons to Gerald G. Lundergan and Ernest William Cromartie. The White House explained both. One is 77 and had a stroke. The other has spent his life in public service, and of each of them, the same phrase: since his release from prison. Two men who were charged, convicted, and served their sentences, pardoned in the ordinary way, on the ordinary grounds, with the reasons written out. And in the next paragraph of the same statement, 5 people against whom nothing had ever been filed. The document draws the distinction itself. We are only reading it aloud. The Justice Department publishes a list of every pardon a president grants. It has a column for the offense and a column for the sentence. Go and look at the two men from the top of that statement. Ernest William Cromartie's role is filled in. District of South Carolina, 12 months and 1 day's imprisonment, 3 years supervised release. A court, a sentence, a crime. That is what the Justice Department's own register looks like when a pardon follows a case. Now Milley's row. Now Fauci's. Now the 5 relatives. Not redacted, not sealed, not pending, N/A. The department's own way of saying there is nothing to put in the box. And one more name, which is not on the list at all. Fauci's pardon covers his work on the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Dr. Deborah Birx sat on that same task force. She was not pardoned. We do not know why, and no document we have says. But whatever this instrument was reaching for that day, it did not reach for everybody. So here's the question, and it is not about any of these people. The pardon power has one carve-out in the Constitution, and it is impeachment. Everything else is left to one person's judgment. Should that power reach forward to people no prosecutor has charged, in a window drawn by nobody's life, for offenses nobody has named? And should it reach a president's own family, when every other pardon he signed that day was tied to the work the person actually did? We are not saying these pardons were improper. Nobody has found that. We are saying the documents look like this, and that a country is allowed to decide whether it is comfortable with them. The president answered part of this himself in the same statement, and it deserves to be the last thing you hear. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that they engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense. He is right that a pardon is not a confession. He is also the only person who can make one, and he made 5 for his own family on his last full day in office. Both of those things are in the record. Neither one cancels the other, documenting the zeros in worldly heroes.